everybody, it's Miss Smith. I hope you had a great weekend and you're well rested. So today I want to talk about, we're going to talk about the basics of the periodic table. I know we talked about it a little bit before, but I want to give you some more information. And one of your assignments today is going to be to kind of explore the periodic table. There's some stuff I'm going to have you fill out, and there's an interactive periodic table that I'm going to give you the website to. It's really great, and it'll have you play with some stuff. So just so you know that the periodic table is a massive wealth of knowledge. You will always be given a periodic table every single time you're given a test. You will always have that. But I need you to know how to use it because it's super important. And some other things we're going to talk about. Last week we talked about mixtures, and homogeneous mixtures, heterogeneous mixtures, elements, compounds, all those things. So I want to talk about how to separate mixtures because that's kind of important, and you need to know that. And on your exam this week, you are going to have to know the different types of different types of ways to separate a mixture. So that's on your exam. You do have an exam this week. You're going to get a study guide tomorrow. Exam's on Wednesday. So hopefully by now you've already started studying. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's get started for today. All right, let me plug my headphones in. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is where we stopped not too long ago. So I'm going to go over this again. And just some basic information of what's in the boxes on the periodic table. So you've got, there's a whole bunch of boxes on the periodic table. So the big C in the center is the symbol. The number up here in the corner is called the atomic number. This is the name, and then you have the atomic mass here. Now, some other things that I want to talk about. Let me go to a new page here. I'm going to draw just a real basic drawing of a periodic table. Now, remember that you also should be writing these things down in your notebook. This is just a real basic periodic table. I'm not going to fill these things in. All right. Now, if you've ever seen a periodic table, there is this weird little stair step down the periodic table like this. And this little element right here in this box right here is called borons. There's just a B there. That's called boron. Excuse me, this line. This line. I did this backwards. Sorry, guys. I'm not looking at a periodic table in front of me, so I forget. Okay, it starts like this. Oh, go back. I cannot get it together today. Okay, so it goes like this down the periodic table. Now, that's fine. We'll talk more about what this looks like and what it's used for, but here's what I need you to know today. This is called the stair step, so you're going to hear me refer to this over and over and over and over. So you need to know what it means when I talk about the stair step. So everything on the left side of the stair step is a metal. However, there is one exception, and it's this one right here. Hydrogen is a gas, okay? So that gases are not metals, okay? And the periodic table is technically at a room temperature, so hydrogen is a gas at room temperature, so it is a non-metal. So now, some metals can be gases, but anyway, hydrogen is a non-metal. Now, everything on the right side of this stair step is a non-metal. Now, the iffy ones are the ones that fall right on the stair step, and those are called metalloids. Now, something else that I would like you to know. On the periodic table itself, there are these columns on the periodic table all over the place like this. Not going to fill these in. I'm just kind of doing a rough sketch here. Okay, you get the point. All right. And then we've got all of these rows as well. Now these are called something, okay? And I need to teach you what they're called. All right, so if we're talking about vertical columns, vertical, which is up and down, those are called groups. Now if we're talking about periods, that's left to right. Excuse me, I did this backwards. If we're talking about horizontal, that's left to right, and those are called periods. All right, so that's actually a test question on your test this week. Our horizontal rows in the periodic table are called periods. Vertical columns on the periodic table are called groups. So you will need to know that. It will be multiple choice. Okay, so that's pretty much the basics, what I need you to know for the exam. And I do want you to go ahead and explore the periodic table, kind of learn some things. So that is an assignment that you're going to do today. So you need to do that. Now, another thing I'm going to talk about before we end our lecture today, because the lecture is just not very long, is ways to separate mixtures. Oh, look at me, I can't spell today. Okay. So the first way I want to talk about is called filtration. Okay, so that is a way to separate a solid from a liquid through a porous barrier. So an example of this would be a coffee filter. Okay, because you don't want your coffee grounds in your coffee, because, you know, who wants to drink that? So you filter out the coffee grounds so they don't get in your coffee. And so that porous barrier is actually, that coffee filter is a porous barrier. Porous just means things can pass through it. So another way is going to be crystallization. Now this is pretty much what you think it is. It's making crystals. Now this one, you are going to boil out impurities to create a supersaturated solution that, when cooled, will form solid crystals. Okay. An example of this is rock candy. Y'all remember that the stuff that you used to get when you go like on a trip or something like that, and it's on a stick and it looks like crystals on a stick and it like cuts your tongue up like crazy? That's rock candy, or Pop Rocks is another way. But that's how you make crystals. Now another way to separate a mixture is going to be distillation. Okay, so you're going to separate two liquids by boiling one. That vapor is captured and cooled down. Cooled back down to a liquid. All right. Now this is basically how they make any kind of alcohol. Okay. A distillery. So when you make alcohol, there's several liquids before it's processed, before they actually distill it. It's called a distillery. There's several liquids that are mixed together, and so to get pure alcohol and get all the other stuff out of there, they have to boil it. And so the alcohol actually boils and turns into a vapor, a gas, They capture that gas and then cool it back down, and that's what they put in the bottle to sell to everybody. Now the last way is going to be chromatography. Now this one you probably never heard of. You may not have heard of the others, but this one you really may not know. So this is how you separate a mixture of liquids. Through a porous barrier. So I'm going to draw a picture here. So they actually use this in crime scenes quite a bit. And so because if, like, let's say that you get a ransom note and they're trying to figure out what pen they use to write this ransom note with. They use this with ink. They do chromatography stuff with ink. And so had we had a lab where, you know, you guys could come to school and we could do a lab, we actually do this in a lab where we do paper chromatography and we make artwork, and it's great. Anyway, so let's say that you had a ransom note and you were trying to figure out what pen they used to make this ransom note. So you would take the ink on a piece of paper like this, and you would put a little dot of ink right there. And then what you would do is you would put water, just gradually put water on the bottom. Now remember, this piece of paper here is porous, and so it likes the water. So the water will actually crawl up. And so what happens when it does crawl up are all of these colors start coming out of this ink like this. All right. So that's what that is for. So that's used as ransom notes. All right, so make sure you're looking at the stream tab to make sure you're getting everything done today. Remember that you all have a test this week. Please begin studying. If you haven't already, you really should start studying already. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.